Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time, in a peaceful forest surrounded by tall trees and vibrant flowers, there lived a family with a charming little girl named Goldilocks. Goldilocks had golden hair that sparkled in the sunlight, and her kind heart brought joy to everyone around her. But there was one thing about her. Her boundless curiosity often made it hard for her to follow the rules, leading her on unexpected adventures. "Stay close to home, Goldilocks. The forest can be dangerous," her mother always advised her before leaving home.
"Yes, Mother."
Goldilocks would reply with a smile, but her eyes sparkled with mischief. And so, one sunny morning, her curiosity grew too strong to ignore.
Maybe I'll just go and take a little look.
And Goldilocks wandered into the forest. She hummed a cheerful tune as she explored the quiet woods, her curiosity leading her deeper into the trees. The trees grew taller and taller, the air cooler, and soon Goldilocks found herself in front of a small, cozy cottage with flowers blooming around it. The door was slightly open, and Goldilocks couldn't resist peeking inside.
What could be in there?
She thought to herself. Without a second thought, she stepped in, her eyes wide with wonder as she looked around the cozy room.
Hello? Is anyone here?
No one answered. Inside, the cottage felt warm and inviting. On the table were 3 bowls of porridge. The porridge smelled so delicious. Goldilocks was very hungry from all the walking in the forest. Her tummy was rumbling.
Maybe just a little taste won't hurt.
Goldilocks tried the first bowl.
Ow! Too hot!
She fanned her burning tongue to cool it down. Next, she tasted the second bowl.
Ugh, too cold!
Finally, she tried the smallest bowl.
This one's just right.
She ate every last bite.
Yummy, yum, yum.
Feeling full, Goldilocks noticed 3 chairs by the fireplace. She sat in the largest one.
Too hard.
She wriggled uncomfortably. The chair was so hard it felt like it was made of bricks. Then she tried the middle chair.
Too soft.
She sank deep into the cushions. Finally, she sat in the smallest chair.
Just right.
But before she could enjoy it, the chair broke beneath her.
Oh no!
She got up and brushed herself off. Feeling tired from her adventure, she wandered into the bedroom and saw 3 beds. She climbed onto the biggest one.
Too hard.
Next, she tried the middle bed.
Too soft.
Finally, she laid down on the smallest bed.
Just right.
In no time, she was fast asleep. While Goldilocks slept, the family of 3 bears who lived in the cottage came home. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear stepped inside, noticing something was wrong.
Someone's been eating my porridge.
Someone's been eating my porridge too.
And someone ate all of mine.
The bears moved to the living room.
Someone's been sitting in my chair.
Someone's been sitting in mine too.
And someone broke mine.
Finally, the bears entered the bedroom.
Someone's been lying in my bed.
Someone's been lying in mine too. Baby Bear gasped in shock, then said,
And someone's still in mine.
Baby Bear pointed at Goldilocks. Goldilocks woke up, startled to see 3 bears staring at her.
Who are you?
Papa Bear screamed angrily.
I'm sorry.
Terrified, Goldilocks leaped out of bed fast, dashed down the stairs, through the door, and into the forest, not stopping until she was safely home. Her mother was outside the house waiting for her, and she looked very anxious. "Goldilocks, I was so worried about you." Goldilocks hugged her mother tight.
Mommy, from now on I will always listen to you and never touch things that don't belong to me. I'm sorry I went out into the forest without your permission.
That day, Goldilocks learned that even though sometimes curiosity is good, respecting others and listening to your elders is even more important. Goldilocks' adventure reminded her that good manners can keep you out of big trouble. The Lion and the Mouse. Once upon a time, in a dense and sprawling jungle, there lived a mighty lion named Leo. Leo was revered by all the animals in the jungle for his strength and power. However, he was often aloof and didn't bother to befriend the smaller creatures around him. One day, tired from hunting all morning, Leo lay asleep in the forest, under a large shady tree, his great head resting on his paws. Some mice that lived at the foot of the tree scrambled over the sleeping lion to return to their home. But just as the last timid little mouse, Mia, was crawling over him, and in her fright and haste to get away, she accidentally ran across the lion's nose. The lion woke up with a roar. Roused from his nap, Leo was startled and annoyed. He laid his huge paw angrily on the tiny creature, trapping her and aiming to kill her.
"You woke me up,"
he roared. The mouse was frightened. She apologized to the lion for disturbing him, and trembling, but with a hint of bravery in her voice, she squeaked,
Almighty Leo, please spare my life. I'm just a small and insignificant mouse. If you let me go, I promise I'll be forever grateful to you. And someday, I will surely repay you.
The lion was amused by the thought that a mouse could ever help him.
"You are funny. How could a mouse help a lion?"
Curious and intrigued, Leo chuckled at the thought of a tiny mouse ever being able to help him, the king of the jungle. But he pitied the little poor mouse and generously decided to release her. He lifted his paw and finally set the mouse free.
"I'll let you go, just because you made me laugh."
Some time passed, and one day, while stalking his prey in the forest, Leo accidentally stepped on a trap. A net made of thick ropes captured the lion and pulled him up into a tree. He was caught in the toils of a hunter's net. The lion struggled to free himself, but could not. He filled the forest with his angry roaring. Several animals ran to help the lion. They struggled to break him free, but only ended up making him entangled further and further. It seemed like there was no escape. Leo's mighty roars rumbled through the forest and echoed through the jungle as he became upset and afraid. Mia, the same mouse he had spared, heard Leo's distress calls and knew the voice. Remembering the lion's kindness, the mouse didn't hesitate and ran quickly to the lion's aid. She sprinted to the tree to find Leo struggling in the net, surrounded by different animals trying in vain to help him.
Let me pass.
If we couldn't help, how will you be able to do so, small little thing?
Mia ignored all the comments and climbed up to the trap. With her sharp little mouse teeth, she gnawed at the great ropes of the net that bound Leo. Tirelessly working, she continued chewing the thick ropes, bit by bit, until Leo was finally free.
You laughed when I said I would repay you. Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion.
Leo was astonished and profoundly grateful to the little mouse who had once been at his mercy. He realized that kindness and help could come from the most unexpected places and the smallest of creatures. From that day forward, Leo and Mia formed an unlikely friendship, and the lion learned that might wasn't the only source of strength. It was obvious for both of them now that no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. They understood the value of compassion and friendship, regardless of someone's size or appearance. Good deeds are always rewarded. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, In a quiet village by the edge of a deep, mysterious forest, there lived a cheerful little girl with a bright red cloak. It was a gift from her grandmother, made with such love and care that the girl wore it every day. The cloak's brilliant red hood made her easy to spot, so much that everyone fondly called her Little Red Riding Hood. One sunny morning, Little Red's mother filled a basket with freshly baked bread, warm soup, and sweet treats. "Your grandmother is feeling ill," her mother said gently, pressing the basket into her hands with a smile. "Take this to her. It will lift her spirits. But remember," her mother added, her voice growing firm, "stay on the path and don't talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood nodded with excitement, promising to be careful. With the warm sun above and the enchanting forest path ahead, she skipped off on her journey, blissfully unaware of the unexpected adventure waiting in the woods. Along the way, she saw beautiful wild flowers and thought, "Grandma would love these." She stepped off the path to pick some, forgetting her mother's advice. Just then, a big bad wolf appeared.
Good day, little girl. Where are you going?
He asked in a deep, smooth voice. Little Red Riding Hood, not realizing the wolf's trickery, replied, forgetting again her mother's advice. "I'm going to my grandmother's house to bring her food. She's not feeling well." The wolf's eyes gleamed with hunger, but he smiled sweetly.
How kind of you. And where does your grandmother live exactly?
"In the little yellow house at the end of the forest." The wolf grinned and quickly came up with a plan.
Why not pick more flowers? Grandma will be so pleased. Then you can take the shortcut around the trees and reach her faster.
Thrilled, Little Red Riding Hood kept gathering flowers while the wolf hurried ahead to the grandmother's house. The wolf arrived, knocked on the door, and pretending to be Little Red, said,
It's me, Grandma. I've brought you food and flowers.
Grandmother, weak from her illness, called out, "Come in, dear. I left the door unlocked for you." The wolf burst into the house, grabbed the grandmother, hit her, and quickly put on her nightgown and cap. He jumped into bed, waiting for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. A short while later, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. "Grandma, it's me."
Come in, my dear.
The wolf replied in a raspy voice. Little Red entered, but something felt odd. At first, she thought it was just because her grandmother was sick, but then she looked a bit closer and noticed. "Grandma, what big ears you have!"
All the better to hear you with, my dear.
"And what big eyes you have!" she said, stepping closer.
All the better to see you with, my dear.
Little Red took another step and exclaimed, "But Grandma, what big hairy hands you have!"
All the better to catch you with.
The wolf roared, jumping out of bed and lunging toward her. Little Red Riding Hood screamed and tried to escape, but the wolf was quick and strong. He grabbed her tightly and growled maliciously.
Yum, yum. What a feast I'll have tonight.
Fortunately, just then, a woodsman passing by heard Little Red's cries and burst in. He rushed inside, grabbed the wolf, and freed the little girl. Then, with great effort, he shook the wolf until he confessed where he hid the grandmother. The wolf, terrified, bolted out the door and ran off into the forest, never to be seen again. Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother tightly and promised never to stray from the path or talk to strangers again. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood lived happily and carefully, always remembering the lesson learned.